Fortunately, as the city missed this opportunity to evolve, an unspoken, student body movement was unfolding within the young generation.
Fact: 1975 to 1980 school years undergo an entire New Hanover County Schools student body evolution, then revolution.
After the school board's 12-year resistance to integration, the national and state governments finally demand the end of segregation in county education. But, the board and select staff could still segregate the actual classes, placing different races, social statuses, etc. into their aligned classrooms. During the first few unbearably tumultuous years, the students act out of fear, and incite fights in the hallways, causing the state to sometimes dispatch the National Guards to patrol the campuses.
Fact: fortunately, the schools unwittingly never apply these separation tactics to extracurriculars, whereby they allow the students to evolve naturally, independently.
When given a choice to make their own decisions, to act on their own unique individual desires. When the system allows the students to voluntarily participate in school sports and clubs that speak to their hearts. Surprisingly, astonishingly even, one is hard-pressed to find any students, European or African American, who really mind the integration. And the racial noise simply sinks away into the background. No one cares. Some like it. Others even love interacting with their interracial extracurricular groups.
Note: these are the actual 1973 to 1980 New Hanover and Hoggard yearbook photos.
For example, Kat's friends find they rather enjoy participating in the leagues of ROTC. However, it's not until later that they realize it's an interracial rank, then they begin to recognize and appreciate the other's precision and rhythm and timing. The students who got themselves elected to office happen to be a peaceful mix of races. The other activity leadership of the school reflects this coalition. About 5 miles south and inland, over at Hoggard, the same thing is happening with the students who apply themselves to human relations. Inspiring racial civility. Even kindness. Besties. While back at New Hanover, the volley girls seem to relish the presence of their multiracial team, and only give fair opposition to their opponents. And the young ladies who try out and make the female basketball team are another interracial blend. They also give fair but fierce opposition to their rival teams. The boys' team is blended as well. Simultaneously, this blended trend continues down to Hoggard. And the young men put their differences aside to defeat mutual opponents.
That is until Laney, Wilmington's third high school, opens in '76. Then, living in a rural community, one Michael Jordan attends.
And well, some teams are made to sit out a few games.
But we'll get into that later.
Meanwhile, the student bodies of Wilmington's high schools are undergoing a racial social evolution. Like this.
New Hanover Wrestling. Unified. And still spiriting fierce competition. A student evolution.
Or this.
Hoggard cheerleaders. Racially, socially blended. A student evolution. New Hanover cheerleaders. A student evolution. New Hanover prom decorations team. A student evolution. New Hanover trade and visual arts. A student evolution. The mixed chorus. The category refers to the mix of young men and women, of course, but it could very well represent the school board's unwitting mix of multiracial singers. Student evolution. Drama and theater arts. Student evolution. Music departments. Student evolution. Student government. Evolution. Student glee clubs. Evolution. The intricate, awe-inspired, courageous, compelling, beloved, student arts.
Most peacefully submerged of them all.
Evolution. Kids county-wide, kinder to high, realize that being around the other races, throughout the day, all year long, year after year, it ain't so bad.
They realize that the others have civility, intelligence, even conscientiousness. Not at all the inept, morally bankrupt, evil mongrels their parents warned they'd be. Of course, the students couldn't know in so many details, but they began to see indications that their racial counterparts, the descendants of the people, once poised to build a greater society.
But to the defense of both European and African American parents and grandparents, the fault is not their own. How could they know? The city's politics separated them, and they could not socially interact for an astonishing 3.5 generations. But like the rap lyric,
every Tyrone ain't from Block C, a prisoner from South LA. And every Leroy ain't a member of the KKK.
regarding race, the younger generation begins to question what elder Wilmingtonians say about the other. In the end, the disinformation will prove to be untrue.
So young people devise opinions of their own. They start to view the race not as a whole, but as individuals, with individual properties, both good and bad, but all people.
And as a collective citywide conclusion, students have a mini racial revolution. They can finally combine the best of their best, and each race is made better for it. The racial aggression grows quieter, a whisper even. The resolve ultimately undoes the racial facade, and the board's long-standing paranoia, as the lies come crumbling down. Student body evolution.
One tender year, a new Hanover County high school yearbook offers this heartwarming glimmer of hope.
Why do we do such crazy things? Maybe it's because we're tired of conforming, and we want to be different. Maybe we just don't care. Maybe we're moving free. Evolution, evolution, revolution.
Young racial civility happens year after year. And all across the town, Wilmington high schoolers graduate after leading the city into a new era of excellence and tolerance. Despite itself.
Fact. When the city's racial climate finally cools, the social reordering is like a cleansing rinse to the younger generation. They can exhale, then inhale a deeper, more refreshing breath. In so, they view broader realities of the other races, coexist with a different people, appreciate a different culture, be attracted to, and then possibly, live a different life. So when the gates are unhinged, the waters release, and the floods come rushing. And with it, the races virtually run for, then practically dive into, one another. Those drawn to the other's culture could completely submerge. They'd risk social persecution, or alienation of course. But a few just didn't care, and some others were already there.
Also influencing the revolution was the excitement of the nations barreling into a new decade, the 80s. The era produced many innovations, and the races provided more appealing elements for young people to appreciate, with better opportunities to access them.
Although hip-hop originated in '73, in the '80s, soul, R&B, then rap entered the mainstream, and updated renditions of hip-hop came into favor.
Across the tracks,
hard rock offers more melody, creating heavy metal, while disco adds a beat machine and electronic sounds, making pop. Both also come into favor.
And though punk originated mid-70s, it blended with metal and pop, bringing it out to the mainstream.
The industries of both races brought glamour and bright colors with their music and media icons. Some producers explicitly designed entertainment for young viewership.
The phenomenon of breakdance took the country by storm.
While skateboarding resurfaced, and spectacle bicycling took hold.
Along with many other attractive subculture recreations.
But a glimpse outside the bubble is even more compelling to Wilmington, a commercial beach town, having been under lock and key.
And as the city partakes in these subcultural recreations, thus comes birth of. As not to be offensive with the utter crudeness these terms imply, I'm gonna just let you figure the letter play.
This was a nationwide occurrence, but Wilmington has its own unique engagement with it. Because some, in the older generations were, inflexible, with their racial perception, built over the 8 decades, some in the younger generation come to their own conclusions silently, secretly, and in their hearts. While others do it overtly, boldly, in direct defiance to the elders, and to all social norms, as every new generation does. Well, with this overt boldness, some Euro-American teen girls and boys curl or crimp their hair to appear more like the Jerry curl of the era. They wear rap and hip-hop fashion trends, and even alter their speaking vernacular to sound more like the African-American dialect.
Interesting fact. Sunset Park is a neighborhood created for industrial diversity.
Along with other pockets around the city, the teens from this neighborhood had an inflated interest in, an expression of this counterculture. You know who you are. Lol.
Resulting in a suburb of racial diversity.
At the same time, across the tracks,
In pockets around the city, especially downtown and just over the bridges to both beaches, African American boys and girls have an inflated expression of this counterculture.
Conversely, they straighten or relax their hair, wear the pop rocker or surfer skater / BMX fashion, and even alter their speaking vernacular to sound more like the European American dialect. You also know who you are.
Lol.
Ironically, these areas too result in yet another type of racial diversity.
As we've mentioned, some kids could completely submerge in a different culture.
Now, in defense of these, many may presume they are so-called posers, which often may be so. But also, in common scenarios, they could A. assume these postures to better fit in with another race, because they've been wholly rejected by their own. B. to be different, because their peer group has overlooked what's unique about them. Or C. 'cause they just wanna. They have a natural inborn inclination that leans toward another culture. The preference is as for cantaloupe. Suppose you like the taste of the melon fruit. In that case, it's most probable that you were born with that inclination. And one doesn't make a clear decision to have the preference. You just put it on your plate. It's natural. Simple as that. So we're gonna just suppose it may be that way with homosexuality, or interracial dating, or these countercultures. Sometimes, it's not a direct choice. They just wanna. And often, making a judgment of that is like a person looking over their shoulder, and onto their plate, scoffing at what they naturally prefer to eat. So, back up. Sit down. Eyes on your own plate. Unless they're force-feeding you. Please don't judge what other people are eating. It isn't polite.
So as racial, cultural, vanilla, chocolate swirls permeate Wilmington suburbs, beaches, and inner cities. As breakdancing emerges at Carolina Beach. As skateboarding into the rolling slopes of Hillcrest Project. As the young night socials alter at sunset. And sports world skating rinks. A particularly vibrant revolution happens within the artist's downtown.